Yo, please, GG, don't nerf this one, at least for this league. They are not game breaking like the Blood Aura Monkey was. They are just a strong Spectre that are gonna end up having less damage than Forged Frostbearers, but their playstyle is a lot better. I know them coming from a Graft is likely an unintended game interaction, which sounds a lot better than just saying the 3-letter word that starts with a B. You also don't have to listen to any soul-draining, ear-piercing, hideout-destroying sounds while playing these. So please, I ask you, let us Spectre cocklords enjoy playing these, at least for this season. Thank you. So, this is a very strong melee Spectre, but not as strong as Forged Frostbearers. Their playstyle, however, is way better than the Forged Frostbearers. If you enjoyed Frozen Mandibles in Path of Exile 2, also known as Cocaine Ants, these have a very similar playstyle. Now, there is a big downside to these, and that is the fact that they are squishy. They have 40% elemental resistances and 20% chaos resistance, but their life pool is rather low, and since they are a melee Spectre, they will be tanking a lot of abilities. You need to significantly invest into their defenses to make them a viable Spectre. This also means that generally you are gonna sacrifice some damage scaling. This is also one of the reasons why they are worse than Forged Frostbearers. The way you raise these as a Spectre is by triggering the Great Avalanche Graft, using an offering. You can do this in your hideout. Once those minions have been summoned, all you have to do is go ballistic on your keyboard and spam Raise Spectre on them. Once the minions expire, your Raise Spectre will summon one of them. You just keep doing this in your hideout until you have the desired amount of them. You can use Spell Echo to speed this process up a bit. They do not benefit from any Graft modifiers that specifically state they only apply to the minions summoned by the Graft. So while they are demolishing a Minotaur map, let's go over why these are great Spectres. First, they have really high base damage and great level scaling. Their attack also has built-in 100% physical to cold conversion, which means they also benefit from the physical to elemental buff that Spectres got this patch greatly. And you don't need to use Triad grips. Their attack also has a built-in 10% chance to brittle. This brittle scales with the amount of damage they do, up to 6%. Meaning they get significant base crit numbers because of their high base damage numbers. This enables crit scaling, which normally isn't that great on minions. They also have a built-in 100% effect of non-damaging ailments. This means that even on Uber bosses, their brittle is at a significantly high number. I was at about 4% brittle on Uber Exarch, and my build still has room for improvement. A couple of items become quite interesting, such as a Bitterdream point with base crit, a normal minion shield with +1 levels and increased crit, and also the version of the Grand Spectrum jewel that increases minion critical strike multiplier. What exactly is gonna be the best setup will have to be figured out in Path of Building. Another thing that is very strong for these guys is Ruthless Support. This support is normally not a great option, but has interesting synergy with the way Brittle works. Brittle's power is based on the damage of the hit that inflicts Brittle. Ruthless Support makes 1 out of 3 hits deal 100% more damage. This makes the Brittle far more potent on large tanky bosses, such as Uber Exarch. This is a massive damage increase, and on bosses this support is better than any other damage support. Now let's talk about some of the things I use to make them more tanky. First, I am using a Bitterdream point with base crit, but also have a large increased Spectre life modifier on it. It helps significantly with their low life pool. I am also using a Gloam Ring. When on the left slot, this reduces the damage my minions take by 15%. Now, these only drop as mirrored, but if you vendor 5 of these to any vendor, you will get an unidentified Gloam Ring, which you can craft on. I am also using Energy Leech support. Once I started using this support, they became far more reliable. Also, make sure you have some minion life leech on your Ghastly Eye jewels, and make sure to pick up the minion defensive mastery that increases their maximum elemental resistance by 8%. Speaking of resistances, you want to make sure you cap at least their elemental resistance, and their chaos resistance should be decent as well. I'm using the new Bone Melt amulet for this, as I find it just give me too much benefit to drop. If you don't want to use the Bone Melt amulet, I would highly suggest picking up at least Great Intentions. On harder content such as tier 17 maps and Uber bosses, I use Meat Shield support. My aggressive wand nullifies the effect of the Meat Shield, which means they go back to their base AI. I find their base AI is decent enough and have no issues with this support. I think even without an aggressive wand, having them defensive should not be that much of a problem. I am doing a tier 17 map in the background and will put a clip of me killing Uber Exarch after that. I will of course also put my POV in the description. As a few final notes, for Ghastly Eye duels, make sure you get the ones with high flat physical damage modifiers, as these scale greatly with the new physical to elemental conversion buffs. On another note, I've been using the new Simu Ascendancy node called That Didn't Happen. Now this node makes you unable to use any duels except for clusters and travel duels. I think many people judge this node too quickly. Yes, you get a lot from duels, especially once you have invested a large amount into your build. I am a very lazy player however, and I don't care too much about optimizing my build fully. This node is incredibly powerful tankiness wise, especially in combination with a life leech from Bone Barrier. Ever since I picked this node up, I feel immortal. Unless I deliberately tank high damage abilities, or I stand in too much stuff at once, I never die. This feels incredibly comfortable and I do not want to switch out of this node just because of that reason. I highly suggest you give this node a try if you haven't done so yet. As a final note, these Spectres will still sometimes die, even with maximum tankiness investment, just because they are melee. But I feel that with the new quality of life update, this is not that much of a problem anymore. I look forward to see all the builds that you guys create with these and hope you won't have to go back to the ear-piercing Forged Frostbearers. Yep,